I didn't do anything different. You gotta love that. Okay. Thanks for your patience, everyone. I can't wait to get to this, to the meat of these conversations. So, thanks for your patience, everyone. Okay, now I can't wait to get. It looks like we are live. Okay, wonderful. There's a little bit of a delay. That's fine. I'm going to go ahead and jump right in since we're starting a few minutes late. Thank you and welcome everyone to June's edition of Earth Bishop Chess Club. For those of you that are new, I want to give you a little background about Chess Club. This is not about politics. In fact, this forum, this meeting that we do every month, this is about topics that transcend politics. These are about topics that bring us together. This forum I put together years ago, really to help each other so that we could help each other, we could support each other, we could share our stories and not feel crazy and not be criticized. So this is a platform for open hearts and open minds and for sharing truth and for using truth to be an agent of change in the world. And so tonight's topic is the most important topic that we have at hand in our world today. This topic transcends politics. This is a humanitarian topic tonight. It is about protecting and securing the safety of our innocent children, of our future, of our own freedom, and of our own sovereignty. Okay? I have got an outstanding guest who is going to share so much helpful information tonight. And I'm going to share with you where you can find her as well, because on her website at laurajworley.com, you can get all of her books and links to her podcast. But let me give you a little introduction first. I'm getting ahead of myself. Laura is a survivor of MK Ultra programming and ritual abuse. And she has used her experiences and her own healing journey to help others. She is exposing the truth behind these mind control programs and ritual abuse programs. And she shares a tremendous amount of information on her Rumble channel, on her podcast, which is called Puzzle Pieces Together Podcast. I highly recommend you listen to her, you listen to her shows. And she now has 4 books about her journey and her healing and putting the pieces together. She has books about the Cabal and mind control and her own witness against the Cabal with her firsthand experience and accounts of what she went through in the MK Ultra program, which includes the participation of many high-profile figures such as presidents and politicians and government agencies and military personnel. This is all part of her personal testimony. And she has created courses and training programs for other professionals so that we can be trained in understanding how to heal survivors of MK Ultra and SRA. And she also created the Worldwide Transformational Summit, which brings together over 85 world-renowned authors and speakers with the same mission of exposing truth and healing and transforming lives. And so she has just been a beacon of light and a warrior in dedicating her life to bringing her story forward, bringing forward truth, compassion, and healing for survivors of mind control and ritual abuse. And it is such an honor to have Laura join us tonight for this month's Chess Club. So Laura, thank you so much. I want to pass it off to you. Please let me know what I missed in your introduction. And if you wouldn't mind, I would love it if you would just start with some background so people have a little sense of your story.
Well, thank you for having me, and you did a great job. You don't need to add anything. Basically, I am going to tell you 2 different parts of the story. One as a survivor, and one as someone who has helped over 100 survivors to address what's inside, and when that process began, what I found, and what I found out about the worldwide template of mind control programming. So, how I began, which seems really strange to say, like why I was put in the MK Ultra program, was something that I guessed at for a very long time, but I feel like now I have enough proof. So my grandfather, he was a very high up in quite a few of the secret societies. But anyway, he would talk like just as a daily thing when I was around him that he was friends with President Truman. At the time, I didn't remember any of this. I didn't remember being an MK Ultra survivor until I was 1993, and I guess I was about 34 or something like that, 32. So I grew up thinking I had the greatest family in the world. Everything was wonderful because everything was suppressed. Like I had no memory of everything they had done to me or what my family was involved in until I was an adult. It was a pretty young adult, but still. So I have been asked by the Lord for the 100th time, forgive my sarcasm, but for 7 years I've been writing books. So my third book, I basically crawled to get it out because my husband just passed away. And the Lord kept telling me before he died, you have to get your book done. You have to finish it. You have to get it done. And this is a book that's like over 700 pages of information of the highest levels of survivors that I worked with in the Illuminati. And anyway, I felt God was pushing me and I didn't like it. And then my husband died. And that was the reason he was pushing me. And so I basically got the book out in September on his birthday. And then the fourth book, which I just released, was my story. And he asked me again to do it in a time period of my morning and thinking, you need to do this book, you need to do it, and you need to do it right away. So again, I wasn't very happy about that. But anyway, so the last 6 months, whatever, 4 months, I wrote my story because my first three books are not my story, they're more information. And as this came out, and as I was writing the details of the different memories, it's not so much that I remembered something new, but it was very detailed, and so it was kind of triggering, so to speak. And the Lord showed me, like he just, that's how he's always worked with me writing. He will tell me like, go research this or go do this. And so he said to me one day, he said, I want you to look up Truman. And so I did. And then all the puzzle pieces, so to speak, came together for me because I guessed Truman was the reason I got put in the MK Ultra program. I didn't know. But then when I saw the information about Truman, he is the one that created the CIA. He is the one that brought over the scientist of paper, was it Operation Paperclip. He is the one that basically allowed these people to start the mind control. And then I started putting pieces together of my mom, who was, and my grandfather, and how they were in the Freemasons together. And my grandfather being in the Freemasons with Truman. I'm from Independence, Missouri, and so was he. And so in this writing, it all started to come together that Truman had a part in at least my mom, some of what happened to her. But what they did is back then, I just putting these pieces together over with so much information, but they were needing children. So this is in 1947, before 1953, MK Ultra really started. In 1947, they would have needed children to do the experiment on. And it is my belief through God, my prayers, and just my intuition of this whole situation is that my grandfather was offered, the Lord showed me this many years ago anyway, but that my grandfather was offered a lot of money to sell his family and future generations to the military. And so to the military, it was a legal binding contract and spiritual. So I have had to break those. But anyway, he got a lot of money for selling his children and then future generations. So my mom would have been the first literal MK Ultra generation. I was the second. I was born in 1961. But by 1961, they had already perfected the mind control programming. It's so much deeper than what you think. It wasn't about experiments and LSD. That is just how the CIA contains it all. Just saying, oh, it was just this, it was just that. No, it isn't. It was an enormous amount of organized programming that these German scientists brought over, and the Freemasons, along with Satan and his followers, they all created a template that they were going to put into every survivor, which is worldwide. And I've proved it by working with survivors from all over the world that called me and just wanted help. And we found out that all of us had the same template with inside of us. It didn't matter how old we were. It didn't matter where we were from. It didn't matter our age, our belief system. We all have what they call it's the inverted Kabbalah. It's called the tree of death. And so they took the Kabbalah and inverted it. And then they made it a template. So this is what I call in a survivor. It's a very organized way of mind control programming that's spiritual. And then on top of that is a very organized way of putting mind control programming. Some of you may have heard that they use Disney movies. That's what I call more the front top programming. But underneath it, that keeps a person in bondage, is the spiritual, because they're downloading, attaching demons to keep their spiritual belief system in place. Because the ultimate goal of the CIA, the military, the Freemasons, all secret societies, all of them that are involved in this, is to bring Lucifer's kingdom in. And so there are millions of MK Ultra survivors around the world, and most of them don't even know they're a survivor because of how well they are able to make sure somebody doesn't remember. Because mine was younger, I was in the 60s. I think, anyway, there's a lot of reasons why I believe I started to remember. But in the kids these days, if they take them, they're doing more of the programming through technology, and it is harder to remember. So that's kind of the story about them. But it's a very complex template, and they would have to have it, because if it's worldwide, they have to have an organized way of doing what they're doing. So when they yes, we were experimented on all the time. That's true. But when they try to tell you, oh, we were just putting some experiments on, that's BS. This was organized. Every single thing they did was to accomplish some specific goal that they had. And this is why I tell people, because Representative Luna is trying to bring up MK Ultra, to have, whatever Congress meeting. But the problem is that she may or may not understand is there's no way in the world the CIA is letting go of the MK Ultra program. The MK Ultra program is the infrastructure for the CIA and all the other programs, because all the people are under mind control. So they feed the child trafficking to all the politicians who can't be caught with the child, all the presidents, the prime ministers, foreign dignitaries of other countries. So they provide the children. The children are under mind control. They've been trained to do sex in every possible thing that you would never even think of, because they're ordered like a catalog, and then they're met with these people who are what they call elites, which are not, of course, but they will traffic them. So that's one area a person's going to do. There's going to be trained assassins. There's going to be trained spies. There's going to be trained everything. And the best part about it for the CIA is that not a single one of them will remember what they did. They won't remember what happened to them. They won't remember if they went out and killed somebody. They won't remember that somebody just raped them 10 to 100 times for the day. They're not going to remember. These aren't the same as child trafficked children who are being, like, maybe illegals or being pulled off the streets or kidnapped. These children are not under mind control. And that's why a lot of them aren't going to make it, because they have no way to handle what's happening to them. But see, a child who's been under MK Ultra programming since in the womb, they've been trained how to split their mind and create a compartment who will handle the trauma for them. So when a child is MK Ultra, they purposely know exactly how to create a mind control slave by taking them to the point of torture, to the near death experience where the mind will split at that very moment. And they know when the mind splits that that means the compartment's open and they can create a character, so to speak, to do whatever they want. They can teach them what to do. They can teach a sex slave the sex acts that they have to know to handle the predators that are going to take them out. Like to these are all people at the highest levels of government in every government. And so the child can never remember, and they have to be able to handle the sexual requests. So a child will be requested because they're 5 years old, blonde hair, blue eyes. And this person who called in said, I want this kind of sex act. So that child is going to be taught that sex act. And then that will be given to that person when they get there. Now, my experience is fully at military bases, being trained, because it's the most, for me, when I think about it, it's the most logical place to do it, because they have 100,000s of acres, every military base, not every, but most of them. And the ones that I found that I went to were created in World War II. So they have hundreds of thousands of acres. You cannot go into a military base without permission. You cannot fly over a military base. You cannot do anything without permission, so they can hide everything. So when they have that politician or that prime minister fly over, he flies privately into that base. Nobody's going to know. He's taken down into many, many tunnels that are nicely made. They're not, some of the stories I hear are very weird, but anyway, they've created these cities below what's, you have your government level, and then below are many tunnels, many cities, many floors of cities where they can do everything. And they have the best technology. They have the best doctors, nurses, psychologists, psychiatrists, anybody that knows how to handle the mind and knows the best about the mind are going to be employed. They have the tools. They have the ability to shock you. They have the ability to kill you, clean it up, and nobody's ever going to know. It is the place that most of it takes place. Now, yes, you can be harmed at a hospital, because I know people that have, but your whole training, I don't believe they have the ability to do fully at a hospital. I do know that there's programming at hospitals and colleges. Secret societies can do a little bit of programming, but to the full extent of what's going to really happen to an MK Ultra survivor, it has to be followed by the template that the military Freemason, I call them Mason military, because they are Freemasons. The ones involved in the MK Ultra are involved in all the secret societies. So they don't just, they're not I have great respect for many men and women in the military. So I just want you to know that I've witnessed many of them being harmed and hurt, just like me. The military, if they have any time with you at all, they're able to put you even under the most basic mind control. And so I think a lot of military soldiers are put under some basic military, which why we see such a great jump in, killing themselves and PTSD and all this stuff. So anyway, it's just the people that are they follow Lucifer, and they are in the top positions. They're in every single position around the world in our country that runs everything that's important. And that will especially they're going to be in your education, because that's the kids. They're after the kids. They want your kids. They will do anything to get your kids. And if you don't think that's even true, they have something called the 2030 agenda, and their future looks like this. that no parents will be allowed to have children. If they're allowed, it will only be to give the children to the government to raise, that you're not going to be allowed to have a family, no real connection. I mean, the list goes on and on. And this is something that I was taught in 2015 in particular, for the future. And by that was then. And now almost all of what they said back then, which is in my books, has come to pass. So we all see the government, especially in California, trying to take away the kids and give the parents no rights. Little by little, that's how they work. They do little by little, where you don't see it, you don't pay attention. They're very patient. They have a plan, they'll see it through. So that's why, we have to be aware of who they are and what they're doing if we're going to stop them.
That brings me to one of the most important questions for tonight is, what can we do? This group, and for those of you that are on the live stream on YouTube, there's a bunch of us here on a Zoom video as well. And when we meet in between every month of when I have guests, we have a private forum. And last month, our discussion was all about this topic. And it was all about, well, what can we do? Where's the solution? How do we stop this? How do we help people heal? And how do we bring an end to this? Because it's out there now. The evidence has been shown. It's undeniable. Laura, how can you direct us? So many of us feel so helpless and hopeless because the problem is so massive and so huge. Where do we go? What direction or what steps can we take to fix this, to absolve this, to make this stop?
Well, the first step really is awareness. So you being aware, and then you sharing it with your neighbor or with your friend or whoever you can, just share this information. Because when you're aware of the information, then when you see things happen, you can understand, what's going on. Like, oh, this person just went out and shot 20 people. There's a good chance he was MK Ultra, which they are. All these shootings are MK Ultra. They're just little, another CIA thing to use a person up for what they want. So it is awareness and it is sharing. Beyond, I thought, well, it's getting out there really well, but I still have a lot of people who have no idea what it is. I've had people recently get really angry at me for saying, that this exists. And they said, I'm not living in a world of reality. I mean, that's still going on. So, I think just awareness is how you stop them, to stop their secret societies. The hardest thing people cannot handle is that they worship Satan. And when they worship Satan, what that means, because people are like, why are they taking the children? Why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? They're doing it because it's required. If you are Bible readers, in your Bible in the Old Testament, talks a lot about how the children were sacrificed to idols. So they worship the same idols. They worship the Baal and Moloch and the pagan god and goddess demons, idols, just like they did, and they sacrifice their children. You'll see celebrities who are trans kids. There's a lot of trans kids. Well, those parents have sacrificed their children to Baphomet, and that's why they're making them trans. So this just you understanding why is this happening is because of this. Everything is about worshiping Lucifer. They sacrifice. Okay, so they have to, excuse me to be rude, but I guess you kind of have to know. So I'll be as basic as possible. Is they have to sacrifice children, but they have to torture them first because they need their adrenaline to go high, so that they can drink the blood, because it's that kind of blood that gives them the high, that gives them, to look younger, whatever. And then when they're done with that, and they've also had sex with them, they will kill them to eat them. And I know that's terrible, but that's the bottom line. That's the truth. And that's what we're up against. And so I feel like God is at this point We don't want to do anything about it. Fine. Well, God's not going to be helping us. If you want God to step in our lives and help us, we got to stand up and do something, because so many people just say, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. But you know what? It's happening to everybody. 8 million, that's just 8 million children that we know of a year go missing to all this stuff. 8 million. But I'm going to tell you, it's a lot more because of one thing they do. And I think it's worth being recognized, even though it's hard to hear, is that every single female in the MK Ultra and the SRA secret societies are forced to have a child, and many as they can. And those children are sacrificed, and they are never going to be given a name. No one will know of them, never. And so you could go into millions and billions of children that will never be known, never had a name, nothing. And so those aren't even included with the 8 million. So at the end of the day, it really is about stopping Lucifer's kingdom to be spread on the world, because he pretty much has got a good hold of it. I mean, he's in every top, the presidents, the prime ministers, the tops of companies, education, or money, all that kind of thing. It's those people who are running it. That's what they do on their secret time. This is what they'll go tell you what you have to do to live your life, but then they go to their little meetings in the middle of the night and do these horrible things. And so just if people knew that, we would stop them. But it's hard to hear, and I know that it is. And I forgot to tell you guys, so I'm going to tell you now, sorry, is when I tell you these things, I'm not telling you to traumatize you or to make you take on my story or this story so that you can't function in your life or be happy. I'm just telling this as information so that you can share it. It is not about you taking it on, and it's not about you feeling bad, because I personally have worked through all this stuff for years and years and years. This is not something that traumatizes me anymore. I'm not a victim, and I have healed through this. I've removed the programming. I've removed and healed the trauma. So I'm not looking for anyone to take on my story. You don't need to. I dealt with my story. This is mine. And I'm not going to take on your story either. I can have compassion and love for you, but I can't take on your story either because it's not mine. And two people drowning in the ocean is not going to help. One person needs to be in a boat trying to pull the other one in. And so that's just kind of what I try to tell people, because otherwise it takes them down, and I don't want it to.
Laura, you are so brave and courageous. And with your healing, part of what I wanted to bring forward tonight was for those that are listening, that are starting their healing journey, that are getting the memories. Will you please speak on the fact that the programming happens in layers and the healing happens in layers? Because if you try to heal something in the wrong order, you're going to have tripwire, and certain programs are going to release, and there can be programming embedded within the abuse that will make you want to take yourself out. And can you just share a little bit of guidance for people who may be starting this healing journey themselves?
Okay, as a survivor? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so if you are a survivor, just know that you don't have to heal yourself right away. You can, like she said, do it in layers and do it one step at a time. Because that's the way it's going to work anyway, whether you like it or not, because your subconscious mind is going to protect you and not let you go to the hardest first. That's what happened with me. I did freehand writing to remember what happened, but it was in layers. It did not happen in a short time. It took years. And how this worked is I got the first memory, and then all the memories that I kept getting got worse and worse and worse and worse. But I could handle it that way because I already dealt with what was underneath that. You can't do the worst first. It's not going to happen. And the journey can also have joy in it too. You don't have to be in hell for, the rest of your life healing yourself. You can also have some happiness and peace. But it will free you. And some people say, well, I don't want to deal with it. But the problem is, anybody that has trauma or suppressed memories, you deal with it just because your subconscious thinks about it all the time. So you can't really escape yourself with your traumas. You do need to look at them in the time period that you can handle them. But as far as a survivor, I would tell you, this happened honestly because of a lot of things that happened to me that were negative. And I realized after trying to go to so many different therapists in the 90s, in the early 2000s, and they kept telling me that I don't know how to help you. I don't know how to help you, or this doesn't exist. This isn't real. So I knew that I had to heal myself. Like, I had to figure it out, because I knew I'm not gonna get it from other people. And that kind of led me on studying everything from holistic modalities eventually. And that's what started healing my trauma, was doing tapping. It's not actually called EFT tapping. It's a different tapping. It's in my books and on my website. And that started clearing the trauma, because I already had the memories, but I didn't have any way to get rid of pain of all the memories. And so this helped me clear the pain and started, really, really starting to have an amazing life, because I healed the trauma. And that's what happens when you heal your trauma. Your subconscious mind begins to create a good life for you without you even trying. And that's what happened to me. I wasn't working on any of the following things. What happened to me is I worked on trauma, period. My relationship got better. My business took off, which I didn't even know I had a business at the time. And everything just started opening up and just getting bigger and bigger. And just everything started happening on its own, because my mind and body and soul were so weighed down with so much trauma. And that's the key to all of us, not just survivors, is when people want to run away from something, but they can't, because you can't run away from yourself. But if you heal yourself, you will have an amazing life. And I can say that. And if I can say that, you can say that. So that's kind of what the outer part was. Okay, so did the trauma, looked at all these holistic modalities, found all these things, and that's how the Lord used me to take all the modalities and put them together, because each one had something, but not enough. Like, not one of them was everything, but all of them together was amazing. And that's how it all started working with survivors. Is I worked with people with complex trauma for like 7-8 years. Just doing tapping and body code and a few things. But when I started learning all these little pieces, then I was able to help a survivor. We didn't have to worry anymore about getting traumatized, or, having alarm systems go off, or things to, cause more trauma. So that's why, in my books, the Lord taught me so much. And of course, I knew a lot, and then the survivors taught me so much. But what we found is that there's a very coordinated way that they have programmed us. And so you have to start with the age you are now, working your way back. Because a lot of people want to go to, like, I'm 65, and let's just say I'm going into a therapy office, and this happens so much, I cannot tell you how much. And so the therapist will say, oh, let's go in at 3 years old, and let's go pull out that program. It's like you have this huge structure. Okay, it's like a 20-story building, and you're going to go to the third floor, and you're going to pull it out. Okay, what do you think is going to happen? It's not going to be good. And that's exactly how survivors are built. We are built with layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. And if you start pulling crap out, you're going to have a mess. And that's what happens to survivors, which leads them to killing themselves, wanting to kill themselves, and getting horrible traumatized again. So this is just literally, is the Lord kept showing me things. And like, he did really teach me a lot about, he made me research it. So don't think anything was easy. He made me research about the inverted Kabbalah, and how the tree of death was everything, which is the opposite of the tree of life. So the tree of life to God is his eternal love for us and promise to live with him for eternity. Well, all Satan does is he takes the opposite of God. So he steals it from God, turns it on its head. And so he created the tree of death. And so the tree of death in a survivor is everything. And so they build everything on it, but it's spiritual and it's very hidden. And then they'll build on it things like Disney, so you never find it. And most survivors never do, and I probably wouldn't have never did if some things didn't happen. But anyway, so that's how it's built. And then you have to go from the age you are now. It's very specific in my books, but if you I don't want to get ahead of myself, but in the books 3 and 2, it's very specific on how you remove this. I wrote the books in order so that if you start at 1, it's for public. Is it okay just to go through it, because
Please
make a point here. Okay, this is number 1, and I wrote this. I'm going to say pretty much God wrote this. I didn't. I was a secretary, but it's real simple to give this to everyone. So everybody can read this for the basics, and survivors even. Number 2 is written more as a manual, and it's information, it's tools, it's prayers, it's how to handle curses, how to remove curses, how to remove the programming. But I will say that book 2 was the beginning of what came out in book 3. And God taught me in stages too. So basically, if you read through 2, you're going to understand the tree of death, the Kabbalah, quite a bit of information. So it shows you all tools to help yourself. And people want to pick and choose, but I'm trying to tell you that if you want to be successful, you need to use them all so that you can cover your bases when it happens. And then number 3, I need to get a new one to show you. But anyway, this is over, I don't even know I even wrote this. This is like over 736 pages, and I'm just adding 30 more pages, and it's going to be republished. But anyway, this is from working with 20 survivors that are called Mothers of Darkness. They're top of the Illuminati. And then what I did is I was as specific as I possibly could, and I did it 3 different directions on how to remove the programming. Very, very carefully did I really give it, because we were like, I don't really understand fully. And so I'm not gonna lie, it is a little complex, but all you have to do is follow the order. This is a manual, it will help you. But what's really in here is a lot about the top of the Illuminati and some secret societies that maybe you haven't heard of. And so this is super helpful for survivors and those helping survivors. I don't know how deep you would want to go on this, to be honest with you, if you're not a survivor, because it is very heavy, and it is based on what I found with them, and just research and everything. And then again, I'm sharing this book started the curses against my husband for the next year and a half. And basically, they had a huge role in taking my husband's life. And the witches, I call them witches, that were cursing us. They had a big part in it, in his death. And I let them know that about a year after. So anyway, and this one just is some of the curses. I wrote down everything they did, and I put some of that in it, and I put how to heal from it, how to handle it if anybody ever does that to you. Most people think, if I'm a Christian, I can't be cursed, or demons can attach to me, and it's not true. Especially if you're a Christian, they will. And if they find any woundedness in you, they will. Your neighbors that you think are your friends could possibly curse you. So I always like to make sure I check every day if anybody's cursed me, or and then I say prayers. It's very simple. You can handle all of this with prayer to release what they've done. And anyway, that's all in all my books. So that is kind of the way it is.
Your work is incredible. It's so needed. It's It's the most important thing we need on this planet right now. This is it. This kind of healing, this knowledge.
We need this knowledge. We do. And you know, if I was full of crap, which I'm sure people think I am, they wouldn't be attacking me, okay, for a year and a half. And then things kind of slowed down. And then like I said, I published 2 days ago, and they're attacking me again. So that's the target. They're very, very angry that I am sharing this. And what they're really angry with is about the tree of death, because that's the most hidden. And you will not find them talking about it. And they have protected it, and they have protected their secrets very, very well. And some of the people that they trained, they've covered them up pretty much. And so me revealing it, they are very angry about it, but I don't care. So
You are a brave warrior. Um, they will come after you. You are so courageous. I have been very vocal about bringing this topic to the forefront and making this the priority and seeing everything else as a distraction. I have been very vocal about bringing forward the fact that we've had the evidence released through the Epstein Transparency Act, which has been withheld and is not all coming forward, and there has not been any justice or any accountability done. And I've been sharing how that is a big consent to karmic transference. I have received since that a tremendous amount of attacks and threats. And that is when you know you're
yep,
on to the truth, and they don't want you sharing that. And
that's
I
right.
am like you. I will not stop. I will not keep my mouth closed. I will die for this cause happily. This is all that matters. This is about our whole purpose of life. If we
Yep,
don't have, if we can't protect the innocence of our children, we're not a race, a human species unified.
right.
This is what will unify us. This is what has to bring us together. And so, with all of the distractions out there, all of the sensationalism coming forward with anything other than healing and helping the survivors and stopping this, to me, just doesn't bear any weight. I have no interest in anything other than bringing this to light and putting an end to this. This is foundational. So, what I'd like to do, if you don't mind, is open up the chat. If anyone would like to ask a question, if you are in the Zoom, or if you are in, let me pull up the YouTube as well. Or if you're in the Zoom, you can just go ahead, you know, come forward, raise your hand. Um, it looks like Renata has a question. So go ahead, Renata. I think you're on
Have
mute.
to, yeah, there we go. Thank you so much. I'm using my phone. I'm not used to this. Thank you so much. Thank you, Katie, first of all, for having Laura on. And Laura, my heart is just in one big knot listening to you, for more reasons than than one. I have two things that I'd like to raise. You mentioned the that each person has a child that is likely going through this. Uh, does that mean, or are you referring to a child that was created during the abuse that we don't know about, or are you referring to the children that we have in this life?
I'm not sure. Let's see. I was talking about the children that were being sacrificed, that the survivors were having.
Yeah,
Is that what you mean?
yeah.
Yeah, they definitely are having them in this life for sure. Is that what you mean? I'm sorry if I
Yeah.
saying
Yeah,
correct.
no, I'm trying to differentiate between a child that we would not be consciously aware of having had in this
Yeah.
lifetime
Mhm.
and one that we have had in this lifetime.
Well, I mean, I'm probably the best example of how our mind can hide and suppress everything, because I had many, many, many. I was pregnant many, many times.
Mhm.
First starting at 11, and I had no recall, no memory that I was ever pregnant, that I ever had a child. I didn't have many. I had many children, and I didn't. I started to remember that when I started to remember the cult stuff. It was actually some of the first memories. Um, So yeah, your mind can suppress it, but they do, if you are a female and you are a part of this as a survivor, they will make you, if you are able to have a baby, because they have to have the babies for their sacrifice. There's no other way they could do so many.
Right. So I guess I'm trying to reconcile two things. Number one,
Okay.
assuming I have been through this,
Okay.
that I would have had other children other than the daughter that I have that's still alive. But
Mhm.
I'm also wondering whether she has been subjected to what I was subjected to and doesn't know it just as much as I'm only becoming aware of it.
Well, unfortunately, I don't want to say yes, but the answer is yes. That it would be true for both of you, honestly. I can't say, maybe you didn't, and maybe somehow you got out of it. So I don't want to say you did for sure. I'm just telling you how they function. And so, yeah, your child will go through what you went through, and they will be made to do that. They are able to mind control the whole family, so that nobody recognizes that the child is even pregnant. None of the family will remember that the child is no longer pregnant. That's all done through mind control for the whole family. So everybody has to be under mind control in a family of MK Ultra or SRA, because if anybody was awake, then they would tell, and their system would falter. So you have to be awake, not awake. Sorry, you have to be under their mind control, because you cannot be awake. And I know it's hard because I have my own experiences. So I know it's difficult. Like when you remember this, it's like, this can't be real. This cannot be real. And it took me a very long time to get over it, actually. It took the first two, it took me very long, and I wasn't getting help, of course. And so, but I went to, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, theophostic therapy. And anyway, this was in the beginning of the 90s, and she did help me. And I had a spiritual experience where they really did visit me. I've had a few visits from them, actually. And so I know they're happy and they're okay, and that I'm going to see them and they're going to be mine when I get to the other side. So that's my joy. They can't take that away. Those children are mine. And they cannot have them. They have no part of it. And, I'm unfortunately, as a survivor of MK Ultra and SRA, you have to have a very strong faith in Christ, in God. And I'm going to say that even if I make people mad, because there's no way to overcome it if you don't, because who are we fighting? Satan. Satan isn't beat by anyone but God. No angels, no, oh, you just get away from me. No, they don't mind anybody except Jesus and God, and they're the only ones that can heal us. So I want to testify. I know this sounds like a weird word to use, but it is true. Those children will always be yours, and they are alive, and they're with God. And those people didn't win just because they did terrible things to them before they died. They went right to Jesus. So Satan is an idiot, and he lost. He let those children go, right? All they needed, because they were so pure and so intelligent, they just needed a body. And yeah, it's a horrible way to die, but that's all they needed for their life experience. They didn't need what we need in this journey. Our journeys are different. And so I just want you to know, if you've ever been through that, you have very special children. They're very special, and they are on the other side, and they're waiting for you someday, and you will be their mother and their father, because men are affected by this as well. They do that to traumatize the men just as much. I worked with somebody who he remembered this for a long time. He couldn't get over what they made him do at 17. And it was his child that they made sacrifice, and it affects the men too. So but they do that purposely, because they know they're trying to traumatize the survivor. So they know exactly how to do it, and how it will tear your soul apart. They know darn good and well, if they do anything with a child that's yours, you will be torn apart, because you would have to be an animal, which I don't think most survivors are. They can make you, I will tell you this, in the programming of a breeder, they do, I don't know if I'm going too heavy here, but there's a system of compartments, we'll say it that way. And in those compartments, each compartment has a job to do, so that the child, which is a child, usually a teenager, who will have to have the baby. So there's stages of it. It could be the one that carries the pregnancy to keep it secret. There's the other altar that will come forward to have the baby. There's the next altar that will wipe the memory away. There's the next altar this is just a robotic job in a system of breeders. So this isn't you being in your conscious state going to have babies. You are in an altered state of mind control when you have these babies. And it's a system they built out. So I know that's heavy, guys. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you so much. Let's go to Helene. You have a question?
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you so much, Laura. Do you make a difference between Satan and Lucifer, or is it the same for you?
The same. Because real quickly, this is how I see it. Lucifer was Lucifer in heaven, but he lost his role and his title. So when he came to the earth, because he rebelled, he is called Satan. But the interesting thing, though, is in the survivor world, you call him Lucifer. So you address him. If you're a survivor and you're in a secret society, you do not address him as Satan. You address him as a Lucifer. So I don't know. I see them as the same. So I imagine you can say whatever you want about that, but it's the same being. But he's not, he doesn't have the honor, the glory, or the power that he did before he rebelled.
Great. Carrie. I think you're on mute.
There, can you hear me now?
Yes, I think, yep, there you go.
Laura, I want to thank you and bless you for your courage. You have done so much work, so much. It's incredible, and I want to acknowledge that. And my question for you is,
Oh, Carrie, you're on mute.
how you there? How's
you go.
that? Sorry, I'm trying to find the Laura on my screen. You mentioned during the trauma programming and the place where that they split the mind, that they know when they have done that.
Mm-hmm.
How do they know that?
Well, I know this is another thing I should probably say, but okay, is they've had many experiments on watching the person when they change personality, how it changes in the brain. And they've actually they have research that, let's say if a person is just their self and then they change into an altered state of a character, like let's say it's, I don't know, we'll just say a sex slave. Everything in their being changes, not just their mind, their body. Like there's a literal change in the brain, how you breathe, how the heart beats. Everything is changed when the person changes the altered into an alter. But they can tell by the exact moment of the change in us that happens when they do that. So that's how they know. You know, we are the experiment. So they've been doing this to a lot of people, a lot of times. So they know the exact moment of they can take you to a near death experience as well, which means they will torture you until you die, and bring you back just within the exact moment that you have to be brought back in so you don't die. They're doing that to download their darkness of evil that they want downloaded into you. But at the same time, for me, I had many experiences going to the other side of knowing Jesus and just feeling love, and just those experiences, why they were doing that. So that's why there was something in me that said, you guys are full of crap, because I'm seeing something else. And Jesus is telling me he loves me and I'm worth a lot, and you're telling me I'm not. I think I'm going to believe Jesus. So what they were doing for evil turned into my good. And then I started to seek out God like at 16. I wasn't raised with that. I mean, I had a few family members who said they were Catholic, but that was not, you know what I mean? Didn't go to church except twice a year. So anyway, they were secret society worship. They worship Satan. So anyway, so I wanted to find some information. I just wanted to find, what the truth was. And I think that was helpful. Part of what they were doing helped me to do that. So yeah, but they do know exactly the moment.
Yeah.
Amazing. You're amazing. Thank you.
Thanks, Carrie. Colleen, you have a question, and then I think this will there's one more in the chat, and then we'll wrap up. So go ahead, Colleen.
So I'm sorry I was late, but Laura, I've heard some of your other interviews before, so I've heard your story, and I was a psychiatric nurse in my first career, and so I saw a lot of people with multiple personality disorders, and the kind of information that people like you and Kathy O'Brien, who I met her and Mark Phillips in like 2009, and I've read her books, and I just thought that this was the most important story that could be told, because we think God is going to come and save America. Well, God's not going to come save any of us until we deal with this head on.
Yep.
And what I have seen over the years, because I was in that profession, and I knew about a lot of this, but not the depth of it that I think has come out in recent years, certainly since the Epstein files, and or since what was going on with him in Florida years ago. So I've seen a lot of progress in that way, and I think it's much more in public discourse than it was. Just a few years ago, I was talking about this, particularly after Epstein supposedly died in jail, and around the whole COVID thing. And I had actual friends who I had worked with as a psychiatric nurse who like literally told me, I don't want to hear about that. And I thought, like, this is, as Katie was saying, this is the most important thing that we need to solve, or else we ourselves are not going to be saved. And I also think that people don't really recognize the extent to which we've all been under MK Ultra.
Yeah.
And not to the same extent, certainly, that people who've been subject to SRA have been, but the mind control that they're using with victims is only just an exaggeration of what we're all receiving. And I think if we could recognize that, this is being done to everybody in a more mild manner, I think people might take it more seriously. And I personally don't have a vehicle for spreading this word other than just what I've done over the years, trying to talk to people about it. But it is such a difficult subject. And what I'm wondering is if you have ideas about how we can get people to open their eyes to this when they don't want to see it. Is there some sort of gentle way you've discovered to try to help people to see what's going on right underneath our noses and our feet?
Well, my friend had a good idea where he was suggesting that you start with just a little bit of information and not overwhelm them with it all. Maybe just starting with a little, and then if they're open to that, maybe sharing just a little bit more and more. But the truth is every single person is in danger of being put under mind control right now, because every single thing they do is to put us under mind control. So they're literally experimenting on about 60 million people, of which they want to control the frequencies. So the frequencies will control your mood, what you can do. So they're already doing that. So that's number one. So every experiment, everything is about surveillance and control. Everything they bring out. So it's to put every single soul under mind control. And they're not going to take away your freedom. They're going to take away your free will. And that's different, because, you know, if I can't go outside, well, that's taking my freedom away. If they're controlling my mind and I can't decide for myself, and somebody's telling me what to think, feel, and be, that's my free will is gone. And that's what they're after, not your freedom. Well, they are after that, but it's your mind. And every experiment they're doing is about the mind crap, right? Transhumanism, they're trying everything with the AI. They don't even need to implant anybody anymore. They can do it from a distance to control your mind. And, you know, I see poor targeted individuals on X sharing their story, and it's horrible. It's horrific. I mean, these people doing this need to be shot. No, sorry, but they do. You know how in the olden days they used to hang you from the highest tree? I kind of think that's a good idea still. But anyway, we probably will never do that, because some of these people, I'm sorry, you know, I've heard people, oh, I'm just going to send them love. I'm sorry. So you can send them love all day. You're not going to heal a demonic person who's full of demons. I'm sorry. And he or she is choosing to have those demons control their body. So don't waste your time, you know? That's what we're up against. We are not up against people full of love. We are up against people who are full of demons. And I think until we understand that, that's going to be also a difficult road, because these are not really what we would want to call human beings very much, but I'm talking about the people doing the perpetrating. So anyway.
Lori, do you have time for one more question that's in the chat?
Okay.
Lena asks, can the body remember, have implicit memories, even though the mind does not have access to the explicit conscious memories?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Members of the body holds all of it. This is why when Laura was talking about her tapping as healing, that's really important in doing any kind of somatic work, especially as you go through the healing journey.
Yeah, definitely need something to get rid of the pain, because that was my biggest thing that I wanted help to get rid of the pain, because you have all this pain, as survivors do, and there's no way to get rid of it. And talking all day is not going to do it. Like, talking is your logic mind. So the subconscious is what has to be addressed. So tapping is just one form that I found the best. I like body code too, but tapping basically works with your subconscious mind and the organs in your body by using the meridians as a highway of communication. And so we're literally releasing those stuffed emotions out of the body. Like, they're really literally emotions that are stuck in your body causing that pain, and we're releasing it. And when we release it, your subconscious can start to function differently and not be upset anymore. Like, I can say, I was, you know, hurt really badly, and I can have all these emotions, and then I can tap for a while, and then I feel fine, and I can say, I was hurt really badly. There's a difference, because if your subconscious doesn't care anymore, it's not going to create the trauma in you. It's not going to create the pain in you and the suffering. So we have to release that out of our body and mind.
Thank you, Laura. I don't want to take up any more of your time. Every minute of what you share is so critically important and so valuable. And I just want to honor you. I admire you. Thank you for taking all of your experiences and sharing them and using them to make the world a better place, to heal people and to educate people. So I
Thank
just want to
you.
thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Real quick, can you just let people know how they can get your books and how they can get on your podcast and find everything about you?
Well, my books are on my website, but they're on Amazon. So, and the fourth one is about my story, which is a little weird, but anyway, to just have that in great detail. But anyway, that just came out 2 days ago. I am doing a Survivor 6-week course on how to help yourself, starting in August, and that's on my website. And I'm doing a training program for professionals. So it's 2 separate courses. And then I'm just doing a free one for public who just want to understand MK Ultra like we're doing today. So a free one, and that's going to be in July. It's just all online. So, and anyway, I'm trying to get the information out because that's really what needs to happen. You know, like if all the therapists in the world knew, understood what was really in a survivor, we could actually start getting people free. But licensed therapists don't really want to deal in a lot of this stuff, though, that you have to deal with, because you have to deal with releasing demons and fallen angels. And there's no reason to be afraid of it, but you still have to do it if you're going to help a survivor. And a lot of people just don't want to deal with that, which I understand. So, but
Well,
thanks.
thank you, Laura. And everyone, please support Laura. And thank you for participating tonight. Please share this. Please share this information. It's on my YouTube channel. I'll also put links in my social media. And next month, we'll do a private roundtable that won't be recorded. If you're interested in joining these chess clubs and being part of the Zoom, go to my homepage at earthbishop.com, and there's a little box that says connect with Katie, and you'll get the links to join every month. Okay, so that's how you can stay connected with this group. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, guys.